Hey, Forrest.
Hey, Seamus. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. We're violating some space here.
Well, you're in my bubble,
Yeah,
um,
I guess it's okay.
my COVID bubble.
So, how is it today?
It's good. Starting to get warm out there. Starting to get our spring vibes on.
Yes.
Which brings up an interesting topic of discussion. I'd like to hear your opinion on it. What do you think is the appropriate timing for specific types of magical work?
When you need it?
Okay, can you elaborate?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you can do things by the phase of the moon, the phase of the sun, the time of the year, or whatever, that's probably good to give you more juju in doing the work. But I'm an old hedge witch, so when you need something, when your need is the greatest, that's when you do it. You don't cook. Most people don't cook 5 days before they're hungry. They cook when they're ready for a meal. So to me, doing magic is always about the need, and when you need something, you do it. Now, some people will say, "Yeah, but I want to do a prosperity spell, but we just missed the full moon, and I can't do anything right now." So my reply would be change your paradigm, change the way you're looking at things. So instead of doing something to where you're looking to grow your money or your wealth or your abundance, flip it around to where you're looking to decrease your bills, decrease your stress, so that the money you have or the wealth you have goes further. So that's kind of my philosophy: is as you need it, do it.
That's I like the strategy there of rephrasing what you're doing in that prosperity spell. I mean, prosperity does have a few different angles. It's not just increase. It is about also decreasing the expenditures and decreasing any of the financial stresses or blockages that you might have. So that's very, very clever. I'm into using the moon phases and planetary magic and all of that. I agree that sometimes the urgency or the immediacy of the need kind of needs to override or supersede the planetary positions. However, if you do have the opportunity to plan ahead, there's something magical in just the preparation phase. Just gathering your materials is part of the magical act. Thinking about it ahead of time and looking for those planetary alignments is a magical act. And I think that timing is valuable in the same way that timing is valuable when you are making a request, not just of the universe, but of a person. So if I were to approach you for a raise, I'm not going to do that while you're in the bathroom because that would be poor timing. But, but when it comes to magic, poor timing is, I think, a little more of a flexible concept. I love this notion of being able to do prosperity during a waning moon by clearing out. The waning moon, if you're not familiar, is the time after the last full moon and ending at the next new moon. Your new moon, if you're not familiar, is the time when we do not see the light of the moon from a geocentric perspective or from the Earth's perspective. I love working on a new moon, partly because it reminds me of the darkness and the fecundity of the soil. It's rich and it's ripe and it's ready to do whatever. But also the poetry of beginnings and endings, that Ouroboros moment with the snake biting its tail. The same action that is taken to bury something and lay it to rest is the action that's taken to sow a seed and give it what it needs to grow. I love that. There's something about aligning yourself and your purpose in magic with what the universe happens to be doing at the time. So you line yourself up with that, and you have partners, so to speak, on the spiritual level. So I kind of get a kick out of the timing aspect, the planning aspect. But I think that's kind of my Martha Stewart going on. Take it away, Seamus. I'm going to go answer the door.
Because we are a live working store, we sometimes get this. So
time to make a living.
Time to make a living, as they say. Although somebody seems to be knocking early, but I totally agree with what Forrest said. I think if you can do something and do it in concert with the universe, there is certainly power in that. And I think there's also a power in waiting and anticipating and planning. You don't go off half-cocked. You don't do something out of spite. You don't do something, urgency sometimes isn't urgency. It's arrogance. So I think having an opportunity to take a step back and really review what you're doing and how that's going to manifest is definitely something worth looking into. And obviously you plant by the cycles of the moon. Old time almanacs, they wouldn't, and old timers in the hills wouldn't go to get surgeries unless the moon was in a certain phase, and depending on where the surgery or the ailment was. So there's obviously value to all that. I think it's just a matter of whether it's triage, whether this is a really urgent thing that we need to take care of right now. Somebody was in a car wreck, we need to send healing, or whether it's something that is a planned maintenance or operation. I need to get a kidney stone removed, so you can do that with a little bit more planning.
Very cool. I like that analogy. The triage analogy is really good. And it also calls to mind knowing some of the really traditional old farmer's almanac rules, as it were. But in order to be able to break the rules skillfully and artfully, you kind of got to know them really well.
Yep. You can't be a good jazz player unless you know the rules, and then you know how to break them.
Oh, yeah, good enough.
So tradition and need marriage to do your magic. Marriage
is what brings us together.
So there's two takes or two varying takes on.
With lots of overlap.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because there's no one way. There's only many ways. And really, what's important is your way, if it works for you.
We're not the boss of you.
I'm not the boss of me. Ask my wife.
All right. See you next Wednesday.
Peace, love, and monkey
listening.
fuzz.
Bye.